Well, it seems like Kamala Harris has stolen another Trump-based policy. This time it is the tax credit for new parents, which is another complete 180 when it came out. Remember, a few weeks ago or a few months ago that she had recently hinted at the whole idea of, Americans, they have to be cautious and conscious of our world and of our environment. We need to stop having kids. Well, Musk completely blew that narrative out of the water. You look at the United States, most of it's just free land. Of course, we need to be having more kids. Natural born citizens need to be having more kids. No, instead, we lose in population and we just get replaced with a bunch of immigrants. That's what's been happening the past years. You can take a look at the population decline, things like that, when you look at the demographics. But here it is. Harris proposes $6,000 tax credit for new parents. And if I remember correctly, the media, they criticized Vance. It was like a $5,000 tax credit. And now she's trying to one-up him. This is all so pathetic. She said years ago that people need to be cautious and not have kids. And now she's done the 180. She just stands for nothing. And they think this is going to, I guess, help the campaign. This is the second straight thing she's stolen to go along with the no tax on tips. And again, the media criticized Vance for this. This is a common sense thing because of how bad inflation is. The cost of having children is so high. You have to incentivize your citizens to have kids based on how much kids cost and the commitment that they end up costing. And I think one of the reasons that people are not having kids just comes down to it's a 21st century problem. They don't want to go through the sacrifice, the amount of time, the management, the discipline, the money that it takes, the investment into children, even if they are very fulfilling. People were so used to just getting instant gratification. I mean, the dopamine is just crazy. You can go on your phone, you can do whatever. It used to not be like that at all. People found fulfillment in hard things. Now they don't. This isn't me being a grandpa saying get off my lawn. I'm just saying I'm like this as well. Trust me, it's like you got to get over it when it comes to the 21st century. We haven't made that shift to have the self-realization that everything comes so easy now. So our joy and our fulfillment, it forces us to not want to accept hardships or struggle or anything like that because of 21st century and how easy it is to get everything now. So I think that's one of the reasons people are having less kids. But listen, incentivize it any way possible based on what's going on with the United States population. We need to get it back up with the natural born citizens. This is something where you look at Japan, you look at the West. What is the decision? You either keep your borders closed or keep them very strict and you go down in population, or you replace your declining original population with immigrants. Japan has said, no, we're not doing that. Now they've kind of changed it a little bit, but still they have a very strict immigration policy. And then you've got the West letting everyone in, and you see how that works out. You've got the UK basically at a civil war at this point with how bad that's been and how they're treating their normal natural citizens is just horrible. They're sending them to jail. I mean, there's so many cases people go to jail for like a tweet. It is unbelievable. But listen, this is just another stolen thing from J.D. Vance, again, who was criticized for it, and Trump also got criticized for the no tax on tips, and then you see Kamala do it, and it's the same exact publication, and they praise Harris, but they're critical of Trump when he says it 4 months ago. So you see how ridiculous it is. But there is that. And by the way, we're getting more polls. Things are looking a lot better for Trump. I went over all the swing states yesterday. Trump right now, he's basically tied in everything. This was after her big surge. She thinks she's getting another one because of the DNC. That normally never happens. The conventions don't give you much of a boost. And on top of that, you've got all the riots that are, or at least the protests possibly turn into riots that are going to be happening at the DNC this weekend. Kamala and they've all been getting heckled at these rallies with the Hamas people coming in. It seems like they're going to face a real big problem in terms of that. Inflation is caused by the federal government spending more than it earns because they just print more money to make up the difference. And by the way, the stimulus checks were a big problem. And I feel very gypped because I didn't even get a single stimulus check. Not that it's a big deal or anything, and then it increases our inflation tenfold. I know people wanted the stimulus checks. This is a huge issue. They just blatantly print more money and then give $1,200, and then Biden does the third stimulus check and he gives people more money. And if you have a kid, you get an extra $500, and they just keep printing. And that contributed heavily to the inflation problem. To solve inflation, reduced wasteful government spending. And again, at least Trump is talking to Musk, and it seems like Musk is really passionate about this, having some type of transparency when it comes to government spending. Now, obviously, we can say, well, you're naive for thinking that's ever going to happen, even if they do have some type of committee that monitors the amount of money and where it's all going. At least there's something tangible there. This is what Musk said 3 times, by the way, during his talk with Trump. He said, we need to set up some type of committee to monitor this stuff, and Musk wanted to lead it, which I think is a great idea. We need to be proactive with this stuff and give the American people more insight and more transparency into what the federal government is spending money on, even if it can't all be 1,000%, because some of it, might be, private type of things where you don't want to tell the public. But at least Musk and Trump are taking steps forward. Obviously, with the Democrats, it's total radio silence. They're not going to do a single thing. They will not be transparent at all. How can we expect them to be transparent about government spending? They won't even be transparent about their own campaign. They've got no official... Wait, I'm sorry. I forgot. They do have two policies they want to implement. They stole the one from Trump, and then they just stole another one from Vance. No, I'm sorry. That was my bad. They do have 2 policies. That's right. And they also have a third one, giving amnesty for all the illegals. This is their immigration policy. Kamala Harris, I'm going to be tough on immigration, but there's already 15, 20 million. Trump says the estimates now, according to experts, are around 20 million. That's why they use the 10 million number, and I stopped using it because it's like, wait a second, we've used the 10 million number for a year now. It's probably more. So I started saying about 12 to 15 million. Trump is saying the experts, they're telling him, these are border experts, they're like 20 million people, 20 million illegals entering. Kamala wants to give them amnesty, but then she's going to be tough on the border. How does that make any sense? So you don't want to let more illegals in, but the 10 to 20 million that are already in the country, you want to reward them for illegally coming into the United States, but then you want to be tough on the border after that. It makes no sense. It makes zero sense. So you look at some of these policies, but I like what Elon is doing. Elon is a massive force, and they're very pissed off. You've got Trump in a TikTok video. So this is good. Trump embracing the TikTok thing. If you guys know the TikTok numbers, Trump was just destroying Harris. He had like 8 total videos and 7 million likes. Harris had like 40 videos with only 3 million likes. So Trump is doing these short form things. For a TikTok video, if I was Trump or if I was their campaign, there's a video, and I'm sure most of you know what I'm talking about, where at the border, they use a forklift. I'm not kidding you. They use a forklift to lift up the fence. And you can see the forklift suspended, like holstering up the chain link fence, and you've got illegals coming in through the bottom. They should show that video. And that was during the Biden administration, maybe back in 2022 or something. They should show that video in a TikTok and have Trump comment over it and say something funny. You've also got this Iowa poll. This is just, a random poll, but it's been very accurate in the past. This is huge for Trump. He's up by 21 over Harris. I think Trump's going to win Iowa by 19 to 20. If that happens, remember, there was a previous poll that came out about 3 months ago, Trump versus Biden in Iowa. Trump was up by 18, and that was a very respectable pollster. This lends credence to the idea that Trump should be winning the Rust Belt. If he wins Iowa, at least like Wisconsin, if he wins Iowa by 21, that is a great, great, great sign in terms of that. So that is a very good poll. We also do have, here it is, guys. This is exactly what I predicted. Tim Walz, the dumb white guy that gets made fun of. Kamala is there to be the smart, badass woman who's a prosecutor who's there to correct him. Tim Walz is talking about tacos. He says, and here it is. Here's the make fun of the white people. He's like, oh, I don't put any seasoning on my tacos. And then Kamala basically makes fun of him. And she's like, oh, and then she says at the end, oh, we'll give you cantaloupe. We'll give you cantaloupe. So they're just making fun of us. This is why they got this guy. He's the dumb white dude, the caricature. And he's like, shucks, I have white guilt. How can I do to improve? Please help me improve. We've been so bad. Please, you're the badass prosecutor. I don't season my food. I just eat cantaloupe and I suck on cantaloupe all day. That's what they're doing with this. This is really bad, and I said this is what was going to happen. He's going to be the dumb white guy who just, I have white guilt. I'm racist. All white people suck. Defund ICE. Remember when he marched against ICE and he said ICE was terrible, and then you've got the protests in 2020 and the defund the police movement, which they both supported, by the way, at least to a small degree. A lot of liberals supported defund the police because at the time, if you didn't support that, it was deemed racist. That's legitimate how it happened. I mean, that's how these things work. You've got J.D. Vance coming out and saying Tim Walz refuses to deploy after Walz denies Vance a debate opportunity. Vance says, all right, we'll do 2 debates. We'll do, one on CNN and then the other one on CBS. And of course, Walz says, no, I'm too scared. I can't debate you twice. I'd get destroyed. And that was his campaign statement, basically. They come out and they try and swing it. But yes, so now this is the scorecard. Trump challenges Harris to 3 debates. She accepts 2. She doesn't want to do Fox News. And Vance challenges Walz to 2 debates. He accepts 1. So both of them have flaked on debates. And they're the ones that love democracy. Well, you know what? The whole democracy thing's got to be thrown out the window. If any liberal uses democracy in an argument, it's just so easy at this point to turn it around on them. I mean, we've got Joe Biden admitting that he was forced out via a threat. And even Nancy Pelosi admitted the easy way or the hard way. He's forced out after he won 14 million votes in the primary. It was a total joke. He won by like 99%. And then they force him out when he doesn't want to leave, by the way. He did not want to leave, but they said, get out, old man. We're going to virtue signal democracy, but we don't care about it. We're trying to win. You're going to lose. You're weighing down the ticket, and we're going to put Harris in. And Biden sitting there was like, well, you guys care about democracy so much. What are you talking about? And they're like, we're hypocrites. We don't care. Get out. And our dumbass supporters are still going to buy it. And that's why they still say they're fighting for democracy when they destroyed their own party over the past 3 primaries. Bernie Sanders came out and admitted they rigged it against him in 2016 and 2020. And now we've got this stuff, which is even worse than the Bernie Sanders stuff, because at least there was a primary and Hillary did win the primary. And then Biden did win in 2020. So at least there were votes and things like that. This year, it was the typical incumbent primary where you knew Biden was going to win, and then they just ripped it out of his hands. But no, they care about democracy. What Trump did with January 6th. No, guys. Oh my God. Trump is a demon. How could he do it? He delayed the verification of the votes by a full 7 hours. Oh my God. He delayed the verification by 7 hours. I'm sorry. I just can't do it. Trump is so bad. Trump delayed the verification of the electoral votes by 7 hours. That's a crisis. I mean, that's the worst thing ever. And what the Democrats are doing is totally normal. You can swap out another candidate. Trump said it was illegal, and then CNN tried fact-checking that. CNN is wrong. It is illegal to threaten a president like that and force him to drop out. That is illegal. Trump's right on that, and they said he was wrong, but he is right. And how about this? We've got all this round table, like 3 black people, and there's the white lady. She's the Republican. And so they gang up on her. This is the problem I have with CNN. They'll always do this thing where there's a round table with 6 people. 5 of them are far left, and then one's this kind of token conservative who's trying to defend themselves. They're not even far right. They're just normal, standard Republican. And this woman calls, says the wrong pronunciation of Kamala. It's Kamala. And listen, I'll be honest, I say it wrong on purpose because when she became the nominee, I was going to be like, all right, I'll call her Kamala, whatever. And then they were like, oh, it's racist if you say her name wrong. And I'm like, that's ridiculous. So I just call her Kamala now. And then so they try and do the whole throw up. Oh, you're mispronouncing her name. You're racist. You're disgusting. It's so ridiculous. I was going to call her Kamala. And then they came out and they started virtue signal about it. So now I call her Kamala. We've got this. Oh, yeah, that's just the rally statements. Another poll. This poll came out today. Good news for Trump. Good news for Trump. Trump is up by 1 in a general election. He's taken the lead back. And this is a poll this is August 12th through August 14th. So this is a recent poll. And you do have Trump in a week staying at 49%, Harris going down to 47% with leans. You had the leans in. So these are really, really good numbers for Trump. Trump is starting to regain the polling momentum ever so slightly. And again, it's not like he's down in terms of polls in the Rust Belt. It's basically a tie in all 3 of the Rust Belt states outside of, you could say, Michigan, where she leads by like 1.5 points. And then when it comes to head-to-head, she's up by like 0.5. So Trump's been able to weather the storm completely. And now you're starting to see Trump take the lead in many of these polls. And this is really good news for Trump. And they think the DNC is going to help them, and maybe it'll boost them by like half a point, but it's not going to do much in terms of that. We've got the Secret Service approving a new security plan that will allow Trump to hold outdoor rallies, and they will have to utilize the bulletproof glass, which, it's unfortunate, obviously, because it just looks, when Trump's behind the bulletproof glass, it doesn't have the same impact, but beggars can't be choosers. I mean, we saw what happened and how corrupt the Secret Service is with what happened with crooks and everything like that. There's still so many unanswered questions that I don't think are going to be answered. I mean, this is really what they wanted to ruin. They wanted to ruin all of these great photos. The outdoor rallies have such a major impact because it's just a sea of people rather than in an arena. It's a vertical thing with different decks of stands. So it's just vertical. So that's why there's just such a bigger impact. Remember the New Jersey rally Trump had randomly earlier this year in like March? Man, I forget how good we had it. I think that might be the rally right there. That was an epic rally, man. And that was when Trump was trending in New Jersey, and Trump was like, remember the Democratic internals had Biden up by 1 in New Jersey. I think actually losing New Jersey as well. Pro-Palestine protesters infiltrated the Biden-Harris event today and heckled them. This could be a massive problem for them in November. Well, I think it's going to be a bigger problem sooner rather than later because you do have the DNC coming up. And it wouldn't surprise me if you had the Biden-Harris campaign start getting very strict about these people protesting. I mean, I guess if they, buy tickets to the event, you really can't do anything about it. But it is a big problem because whenever it happens, they look up there and they're just trying to talk over it, but it just sounds really dumb. Like, it just sounds bad because they're trying to talk over the protests, and like you can tell they're like wondering, do we stop? Do we keep going? It's like this awkward thing. So listen, the protests, we'll see how bad they end up getting during the DNC. I'm sure it'll be interesting to see how much the mainstream media covers the protests in terms of that. That will be interesting because that'll be, some type of just strategy in terms of if they'll actually cover it. And I do think that is the last thing I'm going to update when it comes to this video. So overall, we've got Kamala once again stealing the same lines and the same things that Donald Trump and now JD Vance were pushing for. And you've got Trump back doing some TikTok videos. He's back on Twitter now, or X. And hopefully that's going to help his campaign. But also this thing happened last night that I covered where Kamala Harris she was slurring her words. You've got Biden with just the vintage Biden dead stare. Just there's nothing left for Biden. He's looking on. And, oh, by the way, I saw another thing where they questioned and they were like, they asked Biden, they said, I mean, Kamala Harris is trying to distance herself from your campaign. What do you have to say for that? And then he said, oh, no, she won't. So it's kind of funny to see her distance herself and then Biden still be in denial about it and say, no, Bidenomics, she believes in and everything like that. Yeah, I mean, I think the perfect question from the press is, do you still stand by Bidenomics when you've distanced yourself from it and you've admitted at your rallies that the price of goods is too high? Why would you still stand by something that you basically denounced at your rallies? So, I mean, but listen, that's exactly why she won't handle questions from the press, because those are tough things to answer and they're going to be revealing in terms of whatever way she goes. You can't say, I believe in Bidenomics and then say the cost of things are too high. If you believe in it, why would you change it? So, when you get in, I mean, she's already in, she's the VP, but I'm just saying when she's the president, and that's another thing Trump did yesterday during his press conference. You don't want to detach Biden and Harris. They're trying to detach Harris because Biden is so unlikable. Keep them together because she is the VP and they are. I mean, this is what you're going to get with the Kamala Harris, presidency. It's the exact same thing. She's the VP when she's the president. It's another cog in the system. It's just it's just with the NPCs. Take out the Biden brain chip, put in the Kamala one. That's all it is. So guys, that is going to do it for this video. Make sure you follow me on X. Link to that's always in the description.